we are very much burning for the now they are accepting I just need to accept the recording. That we are burning for the culinary heritage, of course, and that is one of the profound bases of how we can really show up the uniqueness and the variety and the diversity among our different regions that we have in the world, because we are on an arena regarding tourism when everybody wants clients to come. And the thing actually that I will highlight in this little slideshow that will take a couple of minutes, where you can just sit back and relax and enjoy the time. It is actually also to highlight and show that even here in the north part of Europe, in Sweden, we have pretty much the same assets of nature. We have very special nature, of course, but we have wonderful, nice buildings. We have sea, we have beaches, we have natural wonders, and so on and so forth. And that is actually not our competitive level, I would say, compared to a lot of other places. But what we can compete with, of course, it is our traditions of food. It is our special approach to why we have this kind of food and how we are producing it, and a lot of other things. So we will start with that. And that's why I will just try to see if technique is working now. So hopefully we will soon see if I can share the screen. It should be possible, I hope. Eric, you have not activated that one, but
yes, it is activated, and you're also a co-host, Niclas.
I am, okay.
Yeah.
Because
it's not working?
Yeah, now it's working.
Okay.
Now it's working. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great. Yeah. So we shoot off a little bit with this presentation. I hope you can see something. You see something, hopefully.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, great. Then we can play this one to start with. This is the trademark and the network that I'm representing. It's Culinary Heritage, and this is quite known here in Europe. And we are very active in many, many places here in Europe. So I will come to that a little bit later. But now I will start to actually show and highlight the region where I'm sitting today and where I'm living. And that is the Skåne region. And we are the most southern part of Sweden. And of course, we have very delicious food. We have very special things here. And that's why actually our network, it started in this region because during the late 1990s, our network is celebrating 30 years next year. So we are old game players in this case. And we started this because then we entered the European Union. And regardless of what, European Union, it can be very good and interesting, but for small farmers at that time, it was not so prosperous. And that's why we involved tourism and food much deeper into each other, because we needed to actually find competitions grounds for our small and medium-sized producers and farmers to actually to be able to have a selling platform. And the selling platform that we started to nudge on, it was, of course, that they should provide the local restaurants with their own products instead of other imported products, because then when the European Union entered to us, or we entered the European Union, then we had the open borders in that case, that we could sell and do things in a very good way, of course. But for some groups, it was not so prosperous. So I will go out from this one, and I will share another screen. I will share a slideshow we have actually here. I put it on. Then we shall see if it's working to share another screen.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, we record again. Here we have it. We do like this. We hope we are able to. So now you can sit back and relax and see how beautiful we have it in the Skåne region. So that was a little bit about how we have it here in Skåne region, and I will just shut it off now. And as you can see there on these nice pictures that we have, I hope I have sold it a little bit so you get interested to come and visit us here in Skåne. And we are very well located, I would say. We have this very beautiful nature wonder region, actually, with tremendously good food. In Sweden, we are saying actually that 100% of the population in Sweden are eating something from Skåne every day. So we are the agriculture region of Sweden. We are like the cradle of where food comes from. And of course, this has its very big importance on how we are actually preserving our culinary traditions as well. And when it comes to this, you could see also on the pictures, it is pretty much in the same selling point like a lot of other destinations have. But one thing that you don't have, it is the Scanian food. And that is also what we are talking about when it comes to the culinary heritage and the culinary diversity, that actually this is the most important thing that we have as a seller of our regions, that it's the food. Because that is something truly spectacular, truly something that we can't find somewhere else, because this need to be tried out. And that's why I can sell you a lot of nice pictures, and you will feel that you would like to come here and so on and so forth. But of course, when you are here and you try our food, it will be even more nice. That's for sure. So that's why we continue with the presentation that I have already started up, and I will just share this one again. It's like that always when you need to jump between the nice different things. So I sharing now this one. So because when it comes to all this regarding food, we are actually appealing to all the 5 senses that we have: taste, smell, touch, hearing, and also listening. When it is because each time when we take something in our mouth, like this delicious thing that you can get, for example, of this Scanian products, the apple, for example, it's very specific. And you have the pork, you have the mushroom, you have a lot of other nice things. When you are doing this as a traveler, then this is actually creating those very long-lasting memories. And these long-lasting memories, that is actually the profound basis of why, one of the biggest reasons to why actually recommend this place to go to you, to your family, or you have your best friends, or whomever you want to share this with. Then you can actually recommend this, because the nice beach and everything that we have already had. And these kind of memories, it's also something, that's why it's not a coincidence that when you have your first date, for example, you are inviting out that person out to taste something, to eat something together, because that is a very also important thing, to share something. And that's why also when you are having a very successful date and you have started to get a family all together, then of course all the times, all the festivities, it is also around food. And this goes through also through traveling and to all the tourists that comes to our area. When they are going to a specific place, it is the food that you are going after mainly. I can take a fresh example. I was in Scotland in this past weekend on work. And the thing that you highlight with that is, of course, the different special things, the drinks as well, like whiskey and some other things. But that is the thing that they actually are going down to, because I can see the same kind of views, and I can have the same kind of topics that I can visit places. But here in Skåne, for example, compared to Scotland, even though it's very scenic and it's very nature wonderful, but some of the things there I can get, like, for example, truly staple food of UK area and Scotland, fish and chips, for example. I will never get as good fish and chips as I can get there, as I can get it here in Sweden as well, but it will never be the same, because it's not the same thing. And that's why actually the tourist in itself, they have, I call this the tourist EEPC, because a tourist comes to a place with expectations. And those expectations are based on the experiences that they actually have had since before. From those experiences, they are making perceptions of how this stay should be. And when you are at that place, then you actually are taking the conclusion of how all these earlier steps in the tourist, how they have achieved. And that's why regarding these kind of things, it is very crucial to remember when we are planning and when we are doing things regarding what we are selling actually within tourism. These expectation, experiences, perception, and the conclusions later on, that is actually the happy or not happy customer that we are talking about. And when we are perceiving it in that way, we can actually also now straight go on to look at the global trends. And I have highlighted this before. I love to use American Express, their different data, because they are collecting a lot of information through what people actually are spending money on. And that's why also they can put the questions in a way. So we can see how it was for 2023, for example. Then we could see that the first and topic thing was that traveling off the beaten path, that traveler, they want authentic experiences where they can taste the local culture. And what is that? Yeah, that is pretty much the food. It is also other culture things, of course, but we really need to understand that this is the topic that actually is going through more and more each year that actually goes. And it's very interesting data actually, and you can just look at it how it is, because now we will jump on to the second interesting thing, and that was that actually all these things regarding culture, how you're perceiving things, that they have a lot of the tourists or the consumers, they have actually seen this on TV, on movies, on social media, and so on and so forth. It's something that we have been sharing. So if you, for example, I can tell you for our sake here in Skåne, for example, we have a lot of German tourists. They actually came and started to come because we had a very famous detective here in Ystad, where I live. It's called Wallander, and he's a detective that is very well known, I would say. And this Wallander guy, he is so popular in Germany. So we have had so many German tourists coming just because of this purpose, that they want to revive and they want to see these specific things. That is Wallander actually in the town and the area around us. So this is nothing new for us here, but actually we can see that these kind of things also are strengthening year from year. And that's why also delicious destinations they have. And people are actually choosing their next travel destination based on what they'll eat, from top restaurants to local favorites to cooking classes or whatever. Because very little, I would say, regarding this is the gourmet or something like that. It is the local kitchen. It can be by eating at the small restaurants. It can be street food. It can be whatever. It can be so easy, actually, like cooking from the local produce, the local ingredients that you have, and you get inspiration and you want to try it. And of course, you should try it when you come to a specific destination. And then, of course, we also have a wellness wave, and that is also something that is always ongoing. And the wellness wave, of course, what is that? Yeah, that is not only going to spa. That is also a very big part of it. It is feeling good when you have been eating something, drinking something special. So all these kind of things, it's going back to actually how important the food is. And that's why I can tell you this, as we always say, it's very top secret, this, and I hope we are not recording too much, so we spread it too much. But anyhow, 100% of the tourists, they actually eat and drink at the destination. And that's why also it's one of the few things actually that we can make something good from. Because the weather today here in Skåne, it's sun shining and it's wonderful. But it's not like that all the time. But the food, it can be constantly good. So that is something that I always can sell to my tourists or my consumers and customers, also local ones, because that is something that actually we can do something about. I can't change the weather, unfortunately, not yet, but I can change about regarding the food. Booking.com is also a very interesting source of knowledge. And here we can see that their customers as well, they are also very eager to discover the origins of food. Actually, 93% of the Italian travelers, they want to try indigenous cuisines when traveling in 2024. And that actually means that if they come to Skåne, of course, they will not go to the Italian restaurant here in Skåne. They will, of course, go and eat something that comes from this area. And of course, we are speaking big numbers here. This is actually 2.7 million properties all around the world who is listed on booking.com. So it is a huge amount of travelers, of course. And that's why also we can get very nice data from all these big sources. And we should use it. And it's likewise also Eric is making wonderful reports regarding how the world food travel is and what people actually want. And those ones that World Food Travel Association actually are doing, they are even more pinpointed to specific areas. So, but we should use a lot of different sources, because when we are combining these different sources, then we can, of course, also achieve something great for the particular region that we are actually interested in. And that's why also in Culinary Heritage, we have been working as a network since over 30 years. And the last 15 years almost, we have worked with the inclusive destination management, where we actually need to have a formula how to actually conform a region, how to achieve the results that you want. So I will just show you very quickly what it is. It's my own formula, A5 plus C. I'm not a good chemist guy, but regarding this with tourism, we could make something together. So here it will come. First of all, you need to have accessibility so you can access your place. And secondly, you need to have accommodation places, and that can be whatever. And thirdly, you need activities when you actually have them at your place, and then added value. And that is very much about hospitality. And last, advertising. And then this thing that also goes through everything, and that is cooperation. Because when are doing all these different steps, you need to have a very big, wide cooperation, because this goes from bottom to up, from up to down. You need to do all these kind of things all together. And that's why here we have an example of a mountain area. Of course, it's very crucial that you can access this place, this beautiful place. You need to have a road, or you need to have an airport, you need to have a harbor or something like that. When you have arrived at that place, of course, you need to have accommodation places. And that can be a five-star hotel. It can be a camping site where people just have tents or whatever. The most important thing is that you actually are selling the specific accommodation that your potential clients and customers want to have and what they expect. Then it comes back this with expectations. If I'm trying to sell a five-star hotel, but it's actually a camping site, then I have my wrong customers. But if it's opposite, it's only positive for you. And then, of course, you need to have activities. In this case, of course, it's mountain climbing, but it can be bird watching, it can be going to a museum, it can be doing whatever actually that you have, culture and so on. Eating in itself is an activity as well, and that's why it goes through. But I will put actually eating and hospitality, that is the added values that you actually are getting to your client, and that is the smile. First of all, you need to come to a new place and you are uplifted by a big, wide, white, smiling face. That is something that goes through actually, that these added values and the hospitality. It starts already from when you enter to the airport. You perhaps take a taxi or you go by bus. The bus driver, he should be a happy guy and smile to you and say welcome and so on and so forth. This goes through all the lane, and that's why this has very much to do with education. And in hospitality, it's not about only education of how we should prepare the food or how we should serve the food, how we should take care of our clients. It goes through actually from bottom to top, everywhere, or each step where we have a client or a tourist, they should feel themselves welcome. That is like the profound basis of everything. And that's why hospitality and the regions who take this to an upper level, they have a great advantage, I would say, because this is also the added values. It is those ones who are actually making the recommendations for the future. And then, of course, the last step, it is advertising. Don't do this opposite as we very often actually do. We have done it here in Skåne region as well. We have advertised something that we perhaps not have. And then, of course, the client or the customer who actually are coming here, we are not selling it through. Then we have that customer once, and then it's fine, and it's over. And then, of course, cooperation is super, super important. And this goes through public authorities, it goes to on governmental level, it goes down to smaller organizations who are working together, down to the individual SMEs actually who are doing this, like restaurants, hotels, taxi companies, and so on and so forth. And that's why we had a crucial question when we started up. I will talk now a little bit about my background in the network that we have, Culinary Heritage Network. Because when we started up this organization, we found out that it is two most common questions that people are getting when they are coming home from their journey somewhere. It is the first one, how was the weather? And the second one was, how was the food? And as I said to start with, the weather we can't change so much about. You can just change location, but the food we can do a lot about. And that's why also we are going back in reflection now to something that actually Anselm Bilat-Savarin, he was a wonderful guy who was born in the 1700 already in France. And he was writing a very interesting book. I really recommend you to read it if you want. He put that expression that tell me what you eat and I will tell you who you are. And that is something that actually goes through to all the topics that we are doing and dealing with when we are having people who are coming to you. We should actually show how we are eating, and that is telling a lot about how, who, and why we are like we are, because this is the social part of everything as well. And we are sharing something. And that's why I have a very good ambassador in my network, and that is His Majesty King Carl the 16th Gustav. He is also a representative of our Culinary Heritage organization, because he have a coffee place in Öland, in the region of Öland here in Sweden. And Culinary Heritage in itself, it is about local food production, because that is the profound basis of everything. It's culinary tradition, of course. And in the prolongation of this, that is actually also a gastronomic diplomacy. Because when we are speaking about this, we are selling ourselves, we are sharing something that can be advocates for a lot of people throughout regions. And the beautiful thing with food, it is that you can be very proud of your origin, and you can be super proud of your food and drinks without diminishing others. We have, as I said, we have 78 culinary heritage regions since 1995. We have in Europe, and as we could see on the previous part, we are also started up to develop cooperations in Asia, Europe, Americas, and Oceania as well. But so far we have had a big success in Europe, and this is a showcasing of how we have it, for example, in Poland, how many business members. This means restaurants, local producers. I show you a small video now how the network actually is working, because we are working in many different fields. Because in the bottom end, all this is about that we want to promote the respective business, which is a restaurant or a honey producer or a beer producer or whatever producer it is. And this goes through networking, I would say. And this coming little sequence of video will show you a little bit how we are working, for example, in Poland regarding this. And when you have the local products or some, when you have some culinary tradition, then they are marking it out, for example, in the menu, because then as a tourist or a local consumer, you can straight see which kind of things that actually are something truly specific from this particular area. So that is also a geographical indicator in itself. And when you are doing this kind of networking, it's very important actually to have the involvement of the SMEs, because that is, as I said, the profound basis of everything. And you need to also servicize them with different things that they can do together. And very often we are making these network meetings here in Sweden or in Poland or Estonia or Latvia. At the same time as we also are gathering these SMEs for going to visit other regions to see how they are working, because this is it's a very both economical way and in experience way. It's a great way to develop yourself as an entrepreneur. And I just want to highlight also within our company, within our organization, we have a wide diversity of company sizes. For example, to the left, we have Absolut Vodka here in Skåne, and we also have smaller distillers like Spirit of Ven. Absolut Vodka, they are making millions of liters every year, and each bottle that you see is transported out here from Skåne region all over the world. While the Spirit of Ven, for example, they have a batch of 50 to 100 liter each time. But anyhow, they can cooperate within a network and learn from each other how things are and how all these things are. So that is also a very big strength when you are organizing people in a network, like, for example, Culinary Heritage or World Food Travel Association and other networks as well. The most important thing is that actually people are networking, that they actually know that we are existing, the restaurant on the other street, they should know the other restaurant, and they should also be able to share knowledge and share experiences, because cooperation, that is something that goes through everything. Here, for example, we have examples of our Turkish friends in Gaziantep. This restaurant, MSM is the restaurant name. They have like thousands of places, while this little restaurant, a Jewish restaurant in Lviv, they have 10 to 15 places. So once again, it doesn't matter the size of the entrepreneurs, because you can have actually these kind of things going on together anyhow. And we are very happy and proud to have two Culinary Heritage centers. We have one in Latvia, in Kraslav area for the European level. And then we also have one in Alanya. And that one will be our Culinary Heritage Center for Asia. And down to the bottom right side, you can see how it is working when we have a study trip, for example. This one is a study trip where Western European companies, they were coming to Turkish companies and restaurants and see how things were. And that is giving a lot, I can promise you. It's a wonderful experience, because when you have these kind of study visits, then you are actually doing so much, not only for those who are visiting, but you also get input and you get a lot of different things. Now we go back to Skåne region, and actually we have started to develop some, we are not calling it a business model, but it is made in the same way like a canvas model, because what we can see is a lot of things. When you want to develop a region, you can actually develop these things in a very nice way together. And that's why when we are looking for Skåne, for example, here we go back to these things for distilleries, because we are really much also burning for the thing that we should do something not only sustainable, we actually need to take the step further to be regenerative. It should be when you have a tourist who comes, when you have a visitor at your place, that person should actually contribute to the place way of living. Instead of just sucking out something, it is very important that actually that client or guest, they are having some very nice experience, but they should also contribute something back, not only in an economical way. It can go by social way and a lot of other things. That's why we have developed these kind of different things where you can actually this is just a few examples of what you can do at a distillery, and we can also show how you can do what you can do at a dairy farm, for example. It is just small glimpses of and activities that you can do something for make it more regenerative for you as a business associated. What kind of experiences you actually can provide instead of just making your cheese, for example. And we are doing this for a lot of other places as well, as you can see. And that's why we go back to our friend Jean-Antel Brillat-Savarin again, where we actually can see that the pleasure of the table belongs to all ages and conditions, to all countries and all areas. It mingles with the pleasure and remains consolos for their departure. And I think that is a nice ending of that. And I think we should move on perhaps to some quick Q&A. Because we have 45 minutes today. So I will stop my presentation now and let you others also come back.
Niclas, thank you for that. You know, I learn something every time I hear you speak. So that is, I always love listening to hear what you have to say. And one of the things that I thought was interesting was your information about the Italian tourists, how 93% of them want to try the local cuisine. And just to show people how much things can change in less than 10 years, in our 2016 Food Travel Monitor research, we surveyed, I think there was maybe 8 countries, 8 major markets in that study. Italy was one of them. And it was interesting that both Italy and France were not very likely to travel for food. The numbers were the lowest of all the countries we traveled, and all the countries that we surveyed. And that was the UK, US, Canada, Mexico, China, India, and so on. And we thought that the numbers were really low, especially for countries where the people are known for loving food. And so we dug a little deeper, and what they told us in each country was that they didn't want to travel for food because they like their own food, or what they wanted to say was they have the best food, so why travel anywhere else for food, right? And yeah, I mean, a couple people actually said it as plain as that, but most people were just saying, "Oh, well, we like our food," and they were trying to be polite about it. But the truth was, they have the best food in the world, so to speak, or they think they do. So, but now they're traveling because they want to try the local food. So that's very interesting that they've completely changed and they're much more open to experiencing the food of other cultures. That was really eye-opening.
Yeah, I think actually that is a great eye opener in that way. But I think it has always been that, like, I don't think when they were traveling, they were not just going to Italian restaurants anyhow.
No, no,
So, it is just that you are more open-minded to it and more perhaps upfront with it, I would say. Plus, since we are all working with food, as we know that main part of the tourists who comes to you, they don't have the full car of their own food when they arrive. It can also happen, but we can have a great impact on the people who are actually visiting us. And that's why I think all destinations of today who wants to be at a certain level, they need to think about the food as number one, I would say. Because as we could see on this beautiful slideshow from my region, you could resemble some things from Spain, or you could resemble from other places in Europe. We have it here as well. So it's not a competitive thing, actually. But the food, it will not stay the same.
exactly. The food can always be the USP.
Yeah.
And we have a question from John in Ireland. John is liking, he would like to know, he says, your network seems to be primarily B2B. Is this correct? And how do you establish this network for tourist and visitor awareness?
Yes, first of all, I would say like this, it is not only B2B, but that is a part of it, because all these regions that we have, they are also cooperating and sharing things within the network. But of course, each network, they are conforming their own set of rules in that way, because when you have so many different countries that we are also working in, we have different legislation, how you can adapt things, how you can support SMEs, and so on and so forth. So of course, it can't be the same everywhere. But when, for example, for the tourist and visitor awareness, we took that example and showed a little bit about this with Poland, this short video. That is how we are working in the local network, because then we are uplifting that everywhere where you see this enamel sign, or when you see the diploma, when you see in the menu this little chef hat, for example, then in people's mind they are growing up something. And that's why also in Poland, for example, the Polish people, they know that this logotype, for example, which has been implemented and worked with for over 20 years, they know that this stands for something. It stands for the culinary heritage. It stands for a kind of quality label, not kind of, but it is very much a quality label. This is also something that we are working on since we are 30 years next year. We will do a lot of new implementation for our anniversary regarding that as well, how we will approach things. So we will have wider impact of the awareness for the future.
And are travel advisors, can they be part of your network?
Yes, they can.
Okay. And how would that work?
That would work that they actually, the travel advisors, they can actually build up their own local networks. They could be like the mediator between the bigger umbrella organization. And of course, they are an integrated part of it, I would say. And that's why also all kind of travel organizations as well, they are very important in this way, and in this field of work, I would say, because they are mediators of actually to say how important this is,
Mm.
actually, to have this topic with food and culture.
And I think it depends really if the travel advisor is focusing purely on outbound or if they're also bringing people in almost in a DMC type
Of
capacity.
course.
And especially if they're a DMC, then you're working with all of those producers and providers that you showed. And for example, in Poland, whether, what did you say, 900?
Yeah,
900
900.
or so businesses in
Yeah.
Poland. So imagine you're in Krakow and you're a travel advisor and people are coming into Poland, so you're able to package those experiences for them. Now, if
Of
you're
course.
taking people out of Krakow, then you're probably looking for those experiences either elsewhere in Poland or elsewhere in Europe, but you could still leverage the network that way for inspiration in some of those trips you'd be planning.
Yeah, it's a easy and accessible way to actually find out in a wider scale. And for example, for the tour operators or something like that, what you want to have, it is something special or specific, I would say today, because otherwise a lot of other people, you and me and all others here, we can find our special things on the internet if we Google and we find our way. It takes time, but you can find it. But that's why I think why a lot of people are using tour operators today. It is actually that they can find something special, I would say.
So we have a question here from a tour operator. Do we have any data on which social media are used for inspiration and by which segment, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc.?
Yeah, I would say actually this comes to that specific country or region where you are situated, because we can look at these kind of data as much as we want. But I think you must actually go down to the specific area where you are having your customers, or which country you are, or which region also as well. Because, but social media is a very strong factor in this. And as we could see by these surveys, for example, from American Express and so on and so forth, today, actually, if people are getting inspiration, it is like 70% or something like that from social media. So of course it has an impact, but it is also, I would say that's why we have, for example, in our organization, we have dropped down, we have deliberately like not posted anything on Instagram, Facebook, and so on for a very long time on our own behalf, because nowadays you never know what is right, what is wrong. It changes through region, and sometimes things are banned, and yeah, it's a very political and sensitive thing. You can just see about TikTok, for example, now. US are voting that they change the owner and you're accepted, but not if you have the same owner. And this goes also from a lot of places. So anyhow, TikTok, for example, they have, and I don't use it by myself, but I see a lot of people are using it. And of course, you get a lot of nice information there, obviously. That is, otherwise it will not be banned either, most likely.
I think you're absolutely right. It really does depend on the market. And so we have surveyed the social media impact in our food travel monitor in both 2016 and 2020. And it's interesting to see how it has evolved. For example, in the UK, Facebook took a huge nosedive. After 2016, there was a scandal in terms of data privacy. And so a lot of people in the UK said, that's it, we're done with Facebook. Now, Facebook is still a huge source, but I think fewer people are using it. I think Instagram is still pretty good in most countries, and it seems that a lot of destination marketers are racing to TikTok just like they're racing to gourmet. And there's incongruous. It doesn't work. And in fact, I was on a panel in Scotland, and there was 3 young guys who were self-labeled influencers who got up there and said, "Oh yeah, you got to get on TikTok, man. It's really the place to be." And the data doesn't prove that. If you look at the spending power of Generation Z or Z, which are the largest sector on or the segment on TikTok, it's almost nothing. They're not influential financially.
But what is interesting, for example, I can see Serena, she's mainly interested in Americans, for example. If I would do some investment of some social media, for example, to Americans, for the moment, before the ban comes, anyhow, they have 170 million subscribers on TikTok, for example. That's huge. It's huge amounts. And that's why probably those guys who said to you in Scotland as well, yeah, go to TikTok, go all in for that. Yes, for the moment that is, but you need to know and understand that, yes, you make this effort now of marketing, advertising, you do it for a short haul run, most likely, because it will be some changes and some different pros and cons in the future. But for putting that question, yes, perhaps that is the thing for the moment, even though there is so much regarding legislation and so on and so forth. But, I mean, it's very easy, actually. Even it's likewise you say also, Eric, it's very true. Those ones with the portemonnaie or the money, yeah, those groups, they are not having it for the moment either. We know that. But you can perhaps invest for 10 years prosperous time as well, because all the things that you're actually putting out now, like we were doing, for example, here in Sweden, we create in Skåne, in my region. I was telling about this fantastic detective Wallander. Those movies, they started to do them like 25 years ago, but they still have an impact on new people coming all the time, coming back to this, because then they make a new version and people are looking at them. So it is an investment you do for a long time. And that's why also this Gen Z, for example, yeah, you are investing in them for today, and perhaps you have a result coming out if you have a destination like Turkey or something like that. In 10 years time, you will see that actually these people, they got it imprinted and then they choose it. So you never know. It's complicated with advertising and marketing. That is very complicated.
Yeah, we need more than 5 minutes on that one.
Most likely.
Anyway, we need to wrap up and move on to our next session. But Niclas, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us. It's always a pleasure listening to what you have to say. And for
Good.
our other delegates, we will be meeting you in the other room. You can go ahead and log into the other room now, and we'll be starting right at the top of the hour. So, Niclas, thank you again for everything.
Thank you, and see you all some other time. It's great to see you.
We'll see
Thank you
you
for now,
all
Eric, as well.
in the
Thank you.
next Zoom room in about